Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie, Jessica.
So today's video is going to be all about book signings. We're going to talk to you guys all about what we do with these signings and how to find these signings and all the tips and tricks.
Yes. Everything book signings.
Everything book signings. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We are still doing our Road to 1K giveaway. Our next level is 750, and we are still giving away free books. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can get a free signed book. Okay, so we just got home from Love in Vegas.
Yes. This is our third book signing that we went to. This was the biggest book signing we've been to.
Yeah. Yes.
So while we were there, we came up with a list of things that we feel are helpful to know to go to a book signing. So we're going to tell you what it's like and things you need to know so you can go to one as well. So the first thing that you need to know about a book signing is how do you find a book signing? Because the big ones sell out the second, like some do sell out within minutes of going on sale, others within hours. So you really need to know where, like, you need to be on top of it if you want to go. So the first thing is, how do you find these?
You're the one that finds them for me. So you tell me how you find them, because you're the one that calls me and is like, I saw another signing. So how do you feel about going here during this month? And I'll be like, all right.
So the best way to find out about these signings is to check your favorite authors' websites and like all their socials. So they'll post when they're going to be signing somewhere, and that's a great way to start. But sometimes after they've made the announcement they're signing there, tickets will already be gone. So that's one way. Another way is to start joining those Facebook groups. So if you're thinking maybe someday I want to go to a signing, get on Facebook and join the Love in Vegas Facebook group. And that's a great place to start right there. But you're just going to want to kind of search for those and see where other people are going. Watch our channel. We'll tell you all about the ones we're going to. And you get into those Facebook groups so you can kind of see when they're going on sale. So Love in Vegas, Wild and Windy, those are some of the popular ones that you can go and look at. But you can also just type in book signings and go from there, because sometimes authors will go to their local bookstores and do a signing as well. That doesn't even have to be a ticketed event. We're talking about those big ones though, like Love in Vegas, where you go and see tons of authors at the same time.
Yeah.
So that
I know, is, like, if you, for us with Love in Vegas, we found out about it after the event last year, or after
the tickets went on sale for this year.
And so we just joined the Facebook page because we knew we were going to be doing Love in Seattle, which is ran by the same group. And so we just watched it for the next round of tickets to go out, basically for the next, right after you have the event, they announced the next one. So we already know that they're going to do, we knew a while ago that they're going to do another Love in Vegas event. It's going to be at the Paris, and it's going to be next year on certain dates. And so that was already announced. And so now we're just waiting for the tickets to go on sale.
Yes. Readers Take Denver is another big one. Indies Invade Philly is another big one.
Polycon.
Yes. So all of those, hop in their Facebook groups, kind of check them out, and then you can see when tickets are going to go on sale. One thing to note, tickets go on sale about a year ahead of time. So there is some like pre-planning that you need to do. But one thing I've liked about this is you have your ticket expense, and then hotel rooms come open, the block for the group usually come open several months after tickets have gone on sale. So you have a little bit of a reprieve, and then it's usually just a deposit. So you have plenty of time to plan and save up. You're not having to put down money for like the tickets and the hotel and all of that at once. So
yeah,
that's one good thing. All right. So now that we've talked about how to do that, the next thing is VIP tickets. Is it worth it to spend the money for a VIP ticket?
In our opinion, it is. I mean, you don't have to. Our very first signing we did was a very small one in Seattle. We did not do VIP. it wasn't a big deal. When we went last spring to Love in Seattle, it's because it was so small, it wasn't a big deal. We chose to do VIP for Love in Seattle. Don't know why, we just did. I
Oh,
think we found it.
because you get an extra hour with the authors. You get in
Okay.
an hour early.
And
That's why
each
we did it.
event has different perks. They tend to
Yes.
be fairly similar, but each event is different. So don't just assume that you're going to get that extra hour if you're VIP. You have to look at what the
Yes.
VIP perks are. But for us, that made a difference. That extra hour makes a huge difference because the same thing happened in Vegas. It made a very big difference with getting our books and getting things signed and making sure that we weren't running around like crazy.
And
Getting that
seeing all the
extra
people we wanted to see.
the meet and greets and the extra time that you get to spend with the authors. Now, they're not signing times. They're times that you get to sit and meet new people and you get to meet the authors and make those connections. And the last two signings we've gone to, we have met an author at each one that we have had a connection with and walked home with a new friend that that we are continuing that relationship. Both of them are not even in the country.
That's true. Yeah.
It's great. We go visit new places. So
So for
Erin, we're
us,
looking at you.
the VIP experience has definitely been worth it. You definitely want to check and see what the perks are, but if it gives you that extra hour, in our opinion, it's definitely worth it. I did run into other people though that were there who did general admission who were just as happy with doing general admission, but it does get a lot crazier once general admission comes in as well. So
Yes, but
something to think about.
you have to do what's best for your budget. So
Yes.
VIP is typically a lot more expensive. So just keep that in mind. If you can only afford general admission, do general admission. But you're already, if you're flying there already, you're already spending money. So sometimes it's worth it.
Yes. All right. So now you've found your event, you've got your tickets, and the next thing you definitely want to make sure you're in the Facebook group for the event because that's where you're going to see all of the authors' pre-orders. And pre-orders, as we learned, are very important. One, pre-orders start several months before, and some authors close them early, some leave them open. I think Ashley Jade waited until like a week before she closed hers and sent out invoices. But some will invoice you the second you do your pre-order, and others will wait. So you kind of have a little bit of a stagger. So if you're looking to like not spend all of your money at once, that does help because you stagger your money out that way. But
Yeah.
pre-orders guarantee that you're going to get the book that you want from the author that you're hoping to see. So, really think about those pre-orders. What we did is we created spreadsheets because I've seen so many people posting in the Love in Vegas group saying, I just got home and realized I didn't pick up my pre-order from this author. What do I do? And a lot of times the authors say, right when you do your pre-order, it actually says on there, if you do not pick up your book, it will not be shipped and you will not be refunded. So you just
And
lose out.
it's not the author's responsibility to know what you pre-ordered. You need to
Yes.
keep track of what you pre-ordered from which author, if you've paid for it, what the cost is. And so we have the spreadsheet, but I also have
So
files on my phone too.
we did a spreadsheet like this. So we have like our author, the books, the cost, and when I paid for it is on here. Then I also organized like who I was hopeful to still get to see, and then my maybe list if there was time, and then books I was hoping to still get that I didn't pre-order. If I had not had this, I would have gone home with the wrong books from an author because there was another Mandy B and they gave me the books for Mandy B. And Jessica like actually noticed before I did. She's like, "Is that really what you ordered?" And I
Yeah.
looked at it and I'm like, "I don't think so." So I pulled out this spreadsheet that I had and I'm like, "No, this is not the right order." But if we wouldn't have had this, I would have been one of those people who would have been like, "Oh no, I forgot to pick something up." And so we just mark them off as we did that. We got a little more intense and we like had a map and we highlighted all the authors that we had pre-orders from so we could kind of come up with a game plan. If we would have not have done that because we were sticking together and there's two of us, we did separate at times, but there's two of us. And so we have a lot of pre-orders that we're getting. And so
Fine.
if if we wouldn't have had a plan, which I think we'll talk more about,
Mhm.
we would have missed out. We wouldn't have probably been able to meet everybody we wanted to, and we definitely would have left behind pre-orders. So
We would
make
have, yeah.
yourself a spreadsheet.
And
Even
I
if
had
you're
it.
like, oh, I've only pre-ordered like from 2 authors, still write it
Still want to
down,
know.
because in the moment when you're meeting some of these people, like when we met Sophie Lark, I just kind of stared at her and I'm like, hi. I totally drew a blank on every book that she has written, and I couldn't think of anything to say to her because I was just like, I'm staring at Sophie Lark. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
That's
So
funny. I think it's
write
hilarious.
it down.
You were right behind me in line. I'm having full conversations with her, and Mandy's just like,
Yeah.
Sophie.
Other
But I
authors
had
I
also
was able to talk to just fine. I don't know what it was, but for whatever
she
reason,
was like,
my mind went blank.
Sophie, look. The thing of it is like I also have, when you pay these invoices, the majority of the invoices get paid through PayPal. I was thinking JT Geisinger was the one you picked up the wrong books. PayPal. And so you get a notification when you've paid that. I have a folder in my email that is just for, it's actually for our channel, but all of my invoices went in there once I paid it, and then it would go into the spreadsheet. I also
Yes.
took screenshots on my phone when I did that, and screenshots of my pre-order before, like when I was sending it off to the author, so that I had that backup, and then I just had a file on my phone. So I had it in 3 places, but that was so that I could go, because there were times when I was like, did I order from that author? It's not on my spreadsheet. Am I sure? And then I could go in and check in my emails and see. But they all want you to pay at different times. And you pay before you get there, which means you have more money to spend once you get there. So girl math says if you pay for it before you get there and you go pick up that book is free.
Yes.
That's girl math or book math. That's what that is. That book is free. So therefore, that is why Jessica pre-ordered 44 books. Okay.
Okay.
Just saying.
So now that you have your pre-orders done and you're organized, so like the next step is, are you going with a friend? So going with a book bestie is a lot of fun. You can share a hotel room. You can share, like, if you fly in at the same time, you can share like the cab expense and all of that. So sharing a hotel room does, I mean, obviously it's going to cut down on half your expenses for the hotel. So that can definitely make it worth it if you have a book bestie. If you don't, that is totally okay. We met a lot of people who were there by themselves, and you will just start to chat with other people. So always come be open to like meeting new people and
Mm-hmm.
meeting those connections. If you're in those Facebook groups too, we sat with some people who totally met each other from the Facebook group, and they kind of formed their own little group, and they were like going to go off and do stuff together and things like
Yep.
that, and they had never met before.
Yeah.
So you can definitely
Definitely be
make some of
open.
those connections ahead of time, but if you don't, you'll still be able to go and have fun. And
Yeah.
most of us are kind of introverted, not Jessica once she starts talking.
But the rest of you are,
So
yes.
everyone kind of feels a little awkward, but you can just strike up a conversation. And I've never had an experience of people being rude or anything. If
No,
you
no.
talk to me at an event, I will be 100% honest. I will be listening to you and engaging, but I'm also going to be like scanning the room looking for people too. And I'm not being rude. But I will tell you when I find somebody.
She does. I'm like, are you engaging in this conversation, or are you just staring off into outer space? But that's okay. It works. It's okay. So the other thing is, we always go into this going, we know we're going to be standing in lines. There's lines everywhere. So let's bring a book with us, right? Like we've got our books on our
I didn't
Kindle.
read it all.
No, the books are with us. Like our Kindle was with us at one point in time. I'm like, what the hell do I have my Kindle for? Because you're talking to everybody in line around you. You are making friends. You are making connections. One other thing too that the authors had said to us at after the meet and greet night is that they're just as awkward. They want you to come up and talk to them because they're introverts as well. It's just as awkward for them to have to go around and talk to us as it is for us to go up and talk to them. So if you see your favorite person there, if you see us there, please come say something. We don't know. And I know we get really busy because we saw people there and we would just be like, oh yeah, hey, there's that person, because you're busy and we're not paying attention. But we want to see you. We want to talk to you, but I don't know who you are until you come and talk to me. So, we're friendly. We want to be friendly. You want to make friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, more tips before you leave, and then we'll talk more about the experience. Get on Goodreads and check out the authors that are going to be there. You can create a
Hmm.
separate bookshelf for the event like we do. So, books that you've already read by somebody you can have there, books you're wanting to read, but check out those authors because there's probably going to be a few that you are definitely like going to see. But it's also a great chance to read some new books and meet some new authors as well. So, check them out on
Yeah.
Goodreads.
And the other thing
So,
with the authors, too, really quick, that happens every time that we don't have on that list, authors do drop out. It happens.
yes,
Life happens. These women, typically they're women, 90% of them, or 99% are women at this point, and they're moms and they have families and they live, in a foreign country. They don't necessarily live in the States. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but things happen. So a lot of the times they tend to be the bigger authors that will end up dropping out. And it sucks because you're going there to see them, but there are other authors there. And just know that it could happen. Emma Jones had something happen and dropped out of this last one. And it wasn't Tilly Cole, it was Cora Riley from Love in Seattle. There was a big one that was double booked and didn't happen. And it was someone that we really wanted to see. So it does happen. And you just have to go with the flow because life gets in the way. Just be, not that I'm saying that your favorite author is going to drop out. Just if it happens, we just approach it with a little bit of grace. It happens. Life happens.
yes. Okay, so more things that you need to be prepared for before you leave home. Bring Have some way to carry your books safely. So we saw quite a few people there with totes and their arms are killing them. They're having to make multiple trips up to their rooms because books get heavy. Even if you're only getting a
Very
few,
fast,
they get heavy and you don't want them to get damaged. So have a plan for that. We bought book carts.
which we'll post a picture of.
Yes, that we use. Absolutely loved mine. We both put our books in there. We closed the lid and had like I had my backpack, you had a tote because you're going to want to bring some other things such as water and maybe some snacks because for Love in Vegas it was a 6-hour time from the time from the time VIP started until it ended. But we were in line a little
two
over an
hours.
hour
Two
before it's
hours.
2 hours.
We got in line 2 hours early.
Did we? I thought it was
Yep.
like 10:30.
Nope.
Okay, so we were in line for a long time. So
Long
you
time.
want to, but it didn't
We
feel
made
like
we
that.
made friends. We made
Yes.
friends. It's okay.
So you definitely want to come prepared for that stuff because you don't want to like be like, oh great, now I have to leave and go find somewhere to buy water because sometimes it's not that easy to find those things. So come prepared for that and definitely have a way to carry your books. The book
Yeah, and
cart
the
is
thing with
the best.
the carts that we have, what you're gonna look for a cart. Like ours went on sale with Amazon Prime Day, so we got them half. I think they're like half price. So definitely keep an eye out for that. There will be some there that happens a couple times a year. But the cart, what you're looking for with the cart is the wheels that can spin 360 degrees because
And
that is important. And
four wheels
four wheels, not two, because you need to be able to maneuver that cart around people and their carts and
easily.
tables, and nobody wants to knock the author's display down, and you don't want to be that person in the way. And these carts are just the right size.
So and there was a lady who was standing in line in front of us and it was getting to the end of the day and she hadn't got all her pre-orders. So I was like, go ahead, go grab your pre-order from this other author over there and we'll keep your spot in line. She had a cart that looked just like ours, but it only had the two back wheels. It was a pain to move it. Where
It,
ours, I just like, you just push the handle and it goes. Hers, I had to like almost like pull back and then push forward. It was a huge pain,
yeah,
and I would hate to be pushing something like that around in a crowded event.
yeah. And how many books
Also,
did they say our carts hold?
I
30
think
something
35 easily,
easily.
depending on how you want to stack them.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had 35 books and I could have put more.
I had to go up to the room and empty after a while because it just got too heavy
Yeah.
on my wrist. But I ended up with 55 books total. That's a lot.
Yeah. Also, you want a cart that will fold down if you're having to fly. So the one that we had folds flat and it does not go into carry-on luggage. It had to go into our checked suitcase, but
Mhm.
that still worked for us.
Yes.
All right. So Also, plan to dress comfortably and for a very warm environment. It gets very hot and stuffy in these rooms because there's a lot of people. So dress accordingly. You
Like,
do
I
not want to
don't
be
care.
sweating more than you will
No,
be.
no, I don't care if the event is happening in Nome, Alaska on Christmas Day. You will be hot in this room.
Yes.
We were in Vegas with the AC on in October. We were hot. Not as hot as we were in Seattle in April. It's not hot here in April, just so you guys all know. It was stifling. Like, you go to get pictures with the authors and your backs would be sweating. You'd be like, never mind my back sweat, and they'd be saying the same thing to you. That was hot and gross. So just totally be prepared. Dress in layers and be prepared to be warm. You get so many bodies in a room, it's gonna get hot.
If you dress in layers, though, you need to be prepared for what you're doing with your layer.
Yes. Yes.
No, I'm being serious. Like, I saw some
Yeah.
people wearing coats and then they're having to like hold on to them. Like,
I was
no,
like,
I would rather arrive and be a little chilly than to have to carry a coat around. Okay, before we go into any more tips or tricks, let's talk about what the actual signing event is like. So you get in and there's all these authors. So you basically just pick which author you want to start with. You can have a game plan. We'll talk more about plans in a little bit. But you basically just go around to the authors and it's a time to chat with them briefly, not long,
briefly,
strong out because there's
especially
lots
if
of
there's a
people.
line behind you.
Yes, there's going to be people behind you, so you're not going to want to chat forever, but you do get to meet them. You can definitely have a quick conversation. They will sign your books for you, and then you move on to the next author, and you just kind of repeat that. I went and talked to an author who I've only read one of her books, and I was like, "Hey, you're a new to me author. I just read this book. I loved it, and she's got all these books on her table. I'm like, what would you recommend I read next? And she's like, okay, well, do you like this or this? Or how is the spice level in this book for you? And then she told me some books and I was like, ooh, that sounds perfect. And I took that. Other authors may not be able to take the time to like really dive in and they might have to give you something quick. Sarah Kate had pre-orders and then you had to stand in line to get her pre-order and then you stood in line to meet her. That's the only time I've ever experienced that. And as far as I know, you there was another line where you could possibly buy some things if you hadn't ordered. So that was a lot of standing in line for her.
Yes.
Most of the authors, you stand in line, they have a PA with them or two who will go get your pre-order or help you if you want to buy something and then you meet the author. So
And then
some
you can
authors you don't get to be like, hey, what would you recommend I read? You could always ask their PA though.
get your picture taken with the author as
Yes.
well. But the other thing too is that when you want them to sign your book, if you want your name in it, I tend to not want my name in a lot of books, especially if I haven't read the book yet, because if I don't care for it, then I'm going to probably put it on my Pango bookstore, or I'm going to give it to somebody else to read. So I don't necessarily want my name in the book all the time. And so that they're going to ask you if you want it personalized, so you can tell them yes or no, and it is okay to say nope, just sign it, that's good, it's less work for them anyway. If you want them to have your name in it and you're bringing the book from home, or just in general, having sticky notes with your name already spelled out is, especially if you have a difficult spelling name, is very important. It makes it easy, because if you're bringing the books from home, then you can slap that sticky note in on the page that you want the author to sign, and then they have your spelling right there, and it's there. If you're getting the books from them, they typically already have your name on a sticky note right there on the books, but they're going to ask you if you want your name in the book. So you just need to know, do you want this personalized or not? Personalization does not mean that they won't put the fun quote in that they put in everybody else's book. It means, will they put your name in the book? So,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so that kind of, we still have more tips and tricks on our list, but that kind of gives you the idea of what exactly you do at a book signing and what the experience is like. I know we already kind of talked about the meet and greet, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. That is the VIP portion. So you have to pay attention to what exactly that is going to look like. At Love in Vegas, it was an actual like buffet dinner. At Love in Seattle, it was some really light appetizers. Mostly, from our experience, drinks, whether it's soda or a bottle of water or actual alcohol, you are paying that yourself. I didn't see at our breakfast there were beverages, but at both dinners, if you wanted, I think they might have had some water, but if you wanted anything additional, they did have water. Anything additional like soda, anything like that, you had to go pay at the cash bar. So you want to make sure you're prepared for that as well. But
Hmm.
not all authors will come to that, but a majority of them will, and they come
And narrators.
and you can just meet them and talk to them. One thing we learned, and I'm sure when we tell you this, you will think about this. So people's profile pictures, either one, may not even be a picture of themselves, or it is their best picture that they have. And so then when you see them in real life,
Professional.
they look very different. And you can
Yes.
think about maybe some of your Facebook friends and you're like, oh yeah, that's nothing what that person looks like. And so
Hmm.
that does tend to happen. So a tip we learned is if you go to like their Instagram page, you can click on tagged photos and then you can see other people who have taken pictures with them at signings and different things like that and get a better idea of what they look like. And then that helps you figure out who some of those people are at the meet and greet. And
Yeah.
then you can just simply go up and be like, hi, are you so and so? Because it would be really embarrassing to talk to the wrong author. And then you can just start a conversation. Or
Yeah.
you can sit down and authors will come and sit with you and start talking. But if there's specific ones you want to talk to at the meet and greet, you need to be prepared to kind of be on the lookout for them.
Yeah. And that's what happened this last time. We had sat down at the table and we were talking with the other ladies at the table, and everybody's like, oh, who do you want to meet? And I was like, I am really excited to meet BJ Alpha. I had some emails back and forth with BJ, and I was like, yes, I want to meet her. She's at the top of my list. And then these two girls came and sat down with us, and we started talking, and they introduced themselves as Katie and Becky, and they were asking questions of us. And then someone asked them, I think it was you, asked him, are you a writer or a reader? And she's like, Becky was like, oh, yeah, my pen name is BJ Alpha. BJ Alpha does not have a picture of herself on her, like on her Goodreads profile or anywhere. So we had no clue that we'd been sitting with BJ Alpha having conversations until we got through that part. And then it was like, oh, awesome. Then we were able to make that connection with her. And then Katie was her PA. And that was a highlight of the trip, that and Teddy Hamilton. But that was a highlight of the trip. So, and that all happened on the VIP night. We made those connections early on. So,
Yes.
yeah, you don't always know. Plus, some of them are traveling from like overseas to get here. They're tired. They don't look like they've had a full face of makeup and their hair done by a professional and then taken these glamour shots. Remember glamour shots?
Yes.
And then have that as their author profile. They don't always look that way because we're human. It's got some bags under our eyes today. So, plus the rooms are typically dark depending on where you're at too. So that just makes it even more fun.
Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
think that covers pretty well of like what to expect a book signing to be like. You just really need to check that itinerary because some will
Yeah.
offer panels where you can go and sit and listen to specific authors talk and do a little Q&A type thing. So you just have to really look at the itinerary to see what it's going to be like. But that's a pretty good overall idea of
Mm-hmm.
what to expect. So a few more tips that we have. You really should have a plan if it is a larger event. So like we talked about, all of them will have maps that you can print off ahead of time. So you really want to do that so you know where the authors are, especially if it's a bigger event. So you make sure that you can hit those authors first that you have
Yeah.
pre-orders from or you really want to see. And then
Or
from there, you can go and like mingle with the other authors and see them.
and like at this event, which they're doing at some of the bigger events now, they had what they called ticketed authors. So these were, how many did we have? 10 or so
There were
authors.
10,
There
but
were
then
10.
they added a couple as those lines grew really
Got
long.
long. So these were the people that they anticipated would have really long lines. Chantal Tessier, um, Ashley Jade, JT Geisinger, Sophie Lark, Katarina Moore. These were the big authors, Sarah Kate. And so they had a system where you went in and they had a person at the end of their line and they were handing out wristbands with numbers. And then in a Google sheet, in a Google spreadsheet that we could all get to because it was posted, we could all get to it, those numbers would update. And if your number was on that list, then you went and got in that line. At first, it was very before we got to the event, it felt very overwhelming, but once they got in, it was very smooth and it was great. So you need to be aware. Those are the authors that are going to have really big lines. They don't do the ticketing for the first hour. So our goal was to get to them within the first hour. So those are just the kind of things you need to plan for when you're making a plan.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a few more things. Yeah, so have that plan, be ready to go. If you think even a little tiny bit that there might be a book you want to buy that wasn't a pre-order, you need to come prepared for that. So bring cash, bring a couple different ways to pay. Bring cash, have a credit card, and then have some of the more popular apps ready to go. A few authors only took PayPal. So I didn't have PayPal downloaded, so that would have been helpful if I would have had the app. I have PayPal, but I always just use it on my computer, so I didn't have the app. Venmo or Cash App are another really popular ones. But be prepared for either to do cash or card or PayPal, like have a couple options ready to go so that you're able to make those purchases if you want to.
Venmo and PayPal were the two popular ones with them. Those are the two that they take more than anything. But
yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then next, but I would definitely bring cash because cash can be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
There was one place where they couldn't get their card reader to work because there's just so many people in there using the Wi-Fi and data. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so after that, the event is over and now you have to go home. So maybe you can just drive home so you don't have to think about how you're getting all these books home. But if you flew to the event, you need to think about how do I get these books home safely? So,
okay, wait.
Have
Before
an
you leave the
idea.
event, there's something that we didn't touch on that I think we should touch on.
Oh, sure.
It is okay to bring your books from home.
Oh, I do have that on the list and we went right past it. Yes.
Okay.
Please
it is
talk
okay
about
to
this.
bring books from home for the author to sign. But be considerate of everyone else there. If you are bringing 30 books for BJ Alpha to sign, I don't even think she has 30 books, but you know what I mean. If you're bringing 30 books that you want this one author to sign, there is a line of other people that are waiting to have the books signed. Be prepared to maybe have them sign 5 or 6 and then turn around and get back out of the line and get back in again, because you need to be fair to those around you. We've all paid to be there. We all want to see these authors. So you can't monopolize the author's time. And a lot of places have moderators after a while that are like, there's other people in line, but they will sign your books from home. But remember, if you take them there, you got to get them home too. So that's the other thing.
Yes.
We saw people coming with stacks of books and we would be like, really? Please be behind me in that line. So it was only a problem at one table that we were at for us.
Yes.
But I can see that for others because we saw a lot of stacks.
Yes.
So, okay.
So just be respectful.
Be there. Yeah. Be respectful of other people. Yeah. Okay.
And the author too.
Yeah. That's a lot of carpal tunnel.
Okay. So bringing your books home. One thing that I would recommend that you do is if you are flying, when you get on the plane to fly down there and you have your checked bag because you're bringing your book cart, when you put that bag up on the scale, pay attention to how much it weighs going down. Then you kind of can guesstimate a little bit about how many books you can fit in there or what other stuff you can pile in there. So just kind of have a little bit of a plan for how that's going to work. Getting the books home. This is what we did. And Jessica, did you have any damaged books?
No, my books were fine. I do have to say,
my books were fine too.
With books, you want, especially paperback books, I figure that each book weighs roughly a pound. As long as it is a standard paperback book. If it is like a bind up, that's a whole different story. Hardback books, you're going to want to factor in there probably about 2 pounds. So depending on how thick they are. So you want to give yourself that leeway when you're thinking about how many books you're pre-ordering and you've got to get them home. It's good to fly on an airline that will have a free checked bag, but sometimes you have to get a second checked bag to get your books home. Yes. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. So what we did is we brought saran wrap with us and bubble mailers. So we saran wrapped every book to keep the pages together so like the corners don't grab and get bent. Then once the book was saran wrapped, this does take us a little bit of time. We stuck it in a bubble mailer. I didn't seal them. I just kind of folded the flap down and then I packed my books. All of my books came home just fine. I unwrapped everybody and nobody was dented,
Hope we're damaged.
no damage at all. So that's
Uh-huh.
definitely how I will continue to pack my books for travel.
Yes. Yeah. There was
But
clothes. We did a layer of clothes first.
depending on what airline you fly,
Mm-hmm.
after any airline, I believe, is 50 pounds for your checked bag. And then the fee is crazy after that. So you want to be
Depending.
careful of that. We met some people who ship their books home. That's always an option. But the prices they were paying to ship those books home were way more expensive
We're talking
than a
$300 to
checked
$400.
paying for a checked bag. I fly Alaska and I have a card, so my first bag is free. So I bring my big old suitcase that my book cart fits in. My
Mhm.
checked bag or my carry-on bag was completely full of books, and I was practicing in the hotel room, making sure I could pick it up and put it over my head, overhead bin.
Yeah.
And I had room. I used a backpack as my personal. I had some room in it, so I knew if my large suitcase was overweight, I could take some more books out of it and put it in my backpack. But I was trying to avoid that. I was 48 pounds, so I felt like I guesstimated pretty close. You were over, but you knew you were going to be over.
Yeah. So I flew Allegiant, which is a cheapy flight. It's like Southwest. It's one of those where they're gonna nickel and dime you to death. But I knew that, and it's what flies out of our little tiny airport. So I knew it. My airline tickets to get to Vegas and back were $100. So it's not like I paid a lot of money to get there. So I knew that with my ticket, I paid for priority, which meant that my luggage was included. So I got one bag that was included in the cost. So I had that. But with Allegiant, you don't have a carry on. You have to pay for a carry on. You have a personal luggage. So or personal, like a purse type thing, but you pay to have a carry on. So if you do it ahead of time, when you're checking in, you can say, I have a second suitcase, and it was $34 for the second suitcase. So I did that. Now, the two together can't be more than 100 pounds. I was 103. And I went to go pull a book out or two, and they were all so packed in there. I was like, this isn't going to work. And it was $50. So still less. I paid way less than I did for most people did for just for their airline ticket, just to get it home. So it wasn't like, it's still way less than shipping. I had factored that in before I left. I thought it'd be way more, and it wasn't. But I had budgeted for that before I left because I knew what I had in pre-orders. I knew what the weight limit was. I knew where we were going to be, and I knew that I couldn't have just a carry-on to put in the overhead bin. So if I'd had a carry-on for the overhead bin, it wouldn't have been a big deal. So when we go to our next event, we'll be flying a real airline and not Allegiant. So it's not going to be an issue. So yeah.
All right. So I think we gave you a pretty good idea of what it was like. You can go to our Instagram and see a lot of our photos
Mhm.
from the different authors we met, and just some fun photos we took while we were in Vegas
Yeah.
if you want to see more of that. What questions do you guys have? What tips or tricks were you hoping to learn more about, maybe that we didn't include? Feel free to post those down below, and we can do a follow-up video to answer any questions that we missed.
Yeah. And we'll post some pictures, or we'll have pictures throughout the video too. So it'll be fun. So that is what we have for you guys today. Go out there and find those events and get excited. They're a lot of fun.
They are.
They really are.
In the meantime, make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us, and Wednesdays through the rest of the year for our Romance School 101.
Until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.